And we are back and ready to hand it over to Denise Harlow.
Thank you, Cashin. Good afternoon and good morning. We have people on all coasts with us today. We're thrilled to be with you with our webinar today on the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse. Our two presenters, some of you may have met Courtney Marcille at our August convention this past year. She did a session on the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse, and her colleague Ellen Simon, both with ICF International. The SSRC is a project of the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation at the Administration for Children and Families, so kind of a sister department to the Office of Community Services. And many of you are familiar with the work that NASCAS has done over the last few years on the CSBG Clearinghouse that has helped us out with our CSBG Teen Pay Resource Center website. So we want to make sure we expand the knowledge of our network to the vast array of resources out there that gets to that concept of where is the evidence? Where do we know? How do we find out what works? How do we frame up the projects we do that can maybe get some of that visibility around evidence? And the SSRC really is a great resource where there's a lot of data housed around programs and activities and research around programs around family self-sufficiency specifically. And there are some items in there around that community action agencies have contributed to and things like that, but Courtney and Ellen today are going to walk us through the nuts and bolts of the site and how we basically as practitioners and oftentimes influencers of policy can use these resources to have an impact in our community. Now, this webinar is part of our new contract here at the Partnership for the Learning Communities Resource Center. We're going to be working with Courtney and Ellen as we go through our learning community cycle to make sure we embed the evidence-based practices, evidence-informed research, or evidence-informed practices and programs that they have in their site into our learning communities as one of the concrete research and data discussion points. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Courtney, who I believe is our first presenter. Thank you for being here, Courtney, and I turn the ball over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Denise. It looks like my little microphone is black, so I trust that that means everyone can hear me. And I will echo Denise's good afternoon and good morning to all of you. I am Courtney Marcille, the project director of the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse over at ICF. And Ellen and I are just very thankful to the partnership, to Denise and Cashin and all of you for this opportunity to share a project that both of us hold very dear to our hearts, something that we've worked on for a long time. It's actually the third year of implementation of the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse at ICF, which follows 2 years of really rigorous development work, figuring out what the needs of the field really were around self-sufficiency and how a clearinghouse designed to meet those needs would look and how it would operate. So we're really thrilled to have this opportunity. And I'm reminded in opportunities like this of something that I learned when I was directing the Welfare Peer Technical Assistance Network, which some of you may know of. And our mantra there was always that when delivering technical assistance, be mindful that everyone has something to teach and everyone has something to learn. So I know that as Ellen and I talk through what the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse, or SSRC, is all about, we're also going to hear and learn a great deal from you all, both today and as our relationship with you and the partnership moves forward. I did mention my role on the project. I also want to introduce you to Ellen, who is going to be doing the lion's share of the presenting today. She is the website task lead for the SSRC and knows our website inside and out and has really been instrumental in developing and making the website responsive to the field. So you will learn a great deal more listening to Ellen than you will listening to me. Let me give you a quick overview of where we're going today, which is sort of our roadmap for the webinar. A quick review of the purpose of the SSRC from me, and then Ellen's going to talk you through the rest of these bullet points, what features are available on the SSRC, and then really focus in on how we think the SSRC can help you in your goals and objectives in serving the folks that you serve, and then talk through some action steps that hopefully translate into a really solid return on investment of the time that you're making with us today. So, purpose of the SSRC. And I'm actually going to go backwards on this slide because what we are about at the end of the day is improved self-sufficiency for families and communities. That's what our line of business at ICF is about. It's what we're about personally and professionally. And we do that with the SSRC by equipping folks in the field with information, tools, and resources that they can use to take the field of self-sufficiency forward, to figure out together how we make that change happen at the family and community level. We do that by connecting you to information that allows you to translate research into practice. And I think that is really the crux of where the relationship between the SSRC and the partnership and the work that you all are doing really is sort of where the rubber meets the road, if you will. Operationally, that happens through our virtual portal, our website, and the services that operate and exist on that website, from a library collection of over 2,000 pieces of vetted, high-quality research and resources, to webinars that we host on topics of interest, to our Emerging Scholars Series, which introduces young self-sufficiency researchers to one another and to the field so that their work can get into the hands of folks. We often talk about how if it weren't for researchers, we wouldn't know what to do, but if it weren't for TA providers, research would just sit on bookshelves, right? So we want to stand in that gulf and figure out how to make those connections so that you all can benefit from research that's been done, but also feedback into the research community, the type of information that you need, the type of research that would benefit you and the programs that you operate. So we think that that's what the SSRC has to offer to you and to your eventual end users, and we're excited to be able to showcase some of those features for you today. And I'm going to, I see that there's a question down there. Let me see if that's for me. Okay, doesn't look like it. So I will turn this over to Ellen, and I again thank you for letting us participate with you today.
Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. So my presentation will focus really on 3 different ways that you can use the SSRC in your work. And those 3 ways are to use it to find research by either searching through our library or through our topical pages, to use it to access tools like webinar materials and glossaries of research terms and guides on different research methodologies, and to connect with others in the field. But before we jump into that, there's a few things you should know about the organization of the clearinghouse and the scope of the clearinghouse. First, and perhaps most importantly, we're organized by the 12 topics that you see on your screen now. The important thing to know about these topics is the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse focuses on these topics only as they pertain to the self-sufficiency of low-income families. So to take an example, research on quality child care probably would not be in our library. However, a journal article on the impact of quality child care on low-income mothers' ability to find and maintain employment would certainly be in our library. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for materials in our clearinghouse. The other thing to know is that these 12 topics really drive the structure of the website, and you'll see what I mean later when we take a virtual tour of the website. You should also know a little bit about our inclusion criteria and process so that you know what you're getting when you come to the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse to look for research. All of the materials that you'll find in the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse have been reviewed for relevance to our scope and for quality. So when we review research for relevance, we're focusing on whether the research item pertains to one of those 12 topics that was listed on the previous slide and self-sufficiency. And we have a thorough quality review process where we focus on being as inclusive as possible, but we also aim to exclude truly bad and misleading research. And if you have any questions about that review process, feel free to ask. We also include a wide range of materials coming from government sources at the state, local, and federal level, as well as policy institutes, and then your more traditional sources for research, such as journals and search engines. We also really like when users submit research, and we welcome all of you to submit your research for inclusion in the clearinghouse. All of the research is reviewed, so anything that's submitted would be reviewed for relevance and quality. We include a range of different materials, from research articles to toolkits to policy briefs. We really include a wide variety of materials. Okay, and now we're going to jump into the virtual tour. I'm just going to pull up the clearinghouse. Okay, great. So hopefully you all can see the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse. As you might have seen on the slide or in the browser here, the URL is www.opressrc.org. So first I'm going to walk you through how you can use the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse to find research. And there's two primary ways you can access research through the clearinghouse. The first is to search the library. Here in the library, you have a few different options for how you can search. You can search by filtering, and we have, you can filter by topic, by popular search terms, by source. You can also limit the year of the research that you're looking for. You can search by reference type, so let's say you're only looking for a journal article. You can select that here. And perhaps my favorite filter is the research methodology filter, because that helps you focus on the specific methodology you're looking for. We also have geographic focus and target population. And you can combine these filters with each other, as well as terms that you put in the search box. So right now what you'll see on the screen in the library is all of the holdings we have. The default display is all of our results. But you probably don't want to sit there and look through almost 2,000 items, so you can narrow your search. Let's say you're working on a program where you're providing services to people who are homeless. You might choose the filter, Community Development and Housing. And so you just click this box here, and your results will narrow down to 195, which you can see by the number that sits next to the topic. So you can get a little preview of the number of results that you'll get when you select a specific topic or combination of filters. And so now we have 195 results. And if you're short on time, like I always find myself being, you probably don't want to sit here and look through all 195 results. So you can add a search term. I'll add the term homeless. And I'll click the blue button. And the results that will show will be a combination of materials that are both relevant to the topic of community development and housing, and also related to and have the keyword homeless appear in the title or the abstract. And so this yields 66 results, which feels much more manageable to me. Although I'd rather sort by year because I'm more interested in recent materials. Right now this is showing as sorted by relevance. So I'll click the year button. And as the computer thinks, you can also see, I'll explain that, you can see under the topical areas that the rest of our terms still have numbers next to them. So for example, if you were to select the topical tag employment, you would get 9 research items that were relevant to both community development and housing and employment. Okay, so now if we have our results, they're sorted by year, and we can just browse through what we're looking for. And you can use these orange buttons on the side of each research article to expand the abstract. So right here, let's say I'm interested in the SHIFT study final report. This piece, it looks like it's about New York. It looks like it's relevant to what I'm looking for. So I'll go ahead and you click the title to get the full bibliographic library entry. This library entry is really helpful for a lot of different purposes. It obviously tells you the author, the type of research article, type of material it is, which is a report, but it also tells you the research methodology. Sometimes folks are not really too concerned about the methodology that they're looking for, but other times it does matter. Sometimes you want a more rigorous methodology to inform the work that you're doing. The library entry also shows the publisher, the year, and provides the critical piece of information, which is the URL to access the material. And we also have an abstract, and we highlight the target population, which this piece of research is about, and the geographic focus of this article. You can also click the keywords and the topical areas. If you click the topical area hyperlink, that will take you to our topical page on community development and housing, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. And if you click the keywords homelessness and housing stability, you'll be taken back to the library, but your results will be narrowed to only show research items that also have these keywords attached to them. So this is one way that you can find research in the Self-Sufficiency Clearinghouse. You can also find research by browsing the topics. And here I'm just hovering over the Browse Topic button, and this is the list of our 12 topics. This list probably looks similar to the same list that was on the slides in our presentation a few slides ago. And that's because, as I mentioned before, these 12 topics drive the architecture of our website. And when I said that, I meant that that's how our topic section is structured. So perhaps now you're interested in incorporating asset building strategies into one of your existing programs, but you're not really sure exactly how to do that, and you're interested in learning just what other folks in the field are doing and what the research says about different asset building strategies. You might choose to go to the Asset Building, Tax Policies, and Subsidies page. Now, I will note that we are in the process of updating these pages, and you'll see some enhancements to this section in the coming weeks. But right now what you have is a short description of the topic and its relevance to self-sufficiency. And you have two featured items. The Voices from the Field tends to be items that are more related to the practice community, such as toolkits or policy briefs, webinar presentation. And you access the material by clicking the View Resource button, and you can read more about the item we're highlighting by viewing the View Highlights button. The Featured Research section tends to feature more traditional research items. So we usually feature government-funded reports here or journal articles and things of that nature. And similar to the Voices from the Field, if you click the View Research button, you'll be taken to the library entry for this piece of research. And if you click the View Highlights button, you'll be taken to a page, I'll show you what it looks like, which just provides a brief description of the research item. And from here, you can decide whether you want to access the research or not. So our two primary ways of accessing research through the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse is through the library and through the topical section. But we also highlight research in various places on our homepage, and I'll show you that just so you know where you can find some recently released research items. Here on the homepage, we have a rotating story bar, and so if you stay on the page, you'll see that it rotates. We typically highlight events, and recently released research in this space. So here you can see that we have some program profiles that were developed by OPRE that we're highlighting. We also highlight new research items in the What's New section, which is down here. If you click the title of the research, this piece is very appropriate. It's on financial empowerment, similar to what we were just looking for in the asset building section. You click the title, and you get a brief description of the item and the ability to view more about this research item. So now I'll go back to the home page, and I'll start talking about different tools that the SSRC offers to help you enhance your understanding of research. We have multiple tools available right now, and we're always in the process of developing more. Perhaps my favorite set of tools to help folks enhance their understanding of research lives in the Learning About Data and Research section. On this page, we have numerous tools that you can actually even print out to keep, by your stack of research to keep as handy reference guides. The first is a glossary of research terms, and when you click on that button, you're taken to the library entry. To access the glossary, you just click for the PDF, and you'll see that we have this glossary. It's about 6 pages long, and it includes research and evaluation terms that are commonly used in the field. So if you're like me and the research lingo is just not something that really you can remember, this is a really helpful tool. We also have guides to using different methodologies. We have 4 of them, one on general research methods, one on implementation studies, one on quasi-experimental studies, and then one on random assignment study methods. So the guide on random assignment study methods, as an example, basically just highlights what random assignment study means, and then provides a few different listing of research articles that you can reference for more information on randomized assignments. So now I'll just go back to the home page and show you some other tools that will help you enhance your understanding of research. Another one of our initiatives is the Emerging Scholars Initiative, as Courtney mentioned, through which we've developed numerous webinars. You can find the webinars currently by accessing the past scholars. We have all of the webinars posted on their pages, and you can use you can reference the webinars on their pages. Right now for Ruby, we have her PowerPoint, her transcript, and her question and answer document up. And we also have, for some of the other scholars, we have the recordings available. So if you're interested in learning about how to use administrative data to learn from your programs, you can view Dr. Wiegensberg's presentation here, and you'll see that we do have the recording up. And we also are working on a number of topical webinars. We recently had a webinar on unemployment insurance, and we've also held a webinar on research practice partnerships. And today, as a matter of fact, we have a webinar on the supplemental poverty measure. All of those recordings and webinar materials will be available in our event archive, which will be released to the Clearinghouse in the coming weeks. So it'll be a little bit easier to find these recordings, which you can reference whenever you'd like. Another one of the tools that we have available to help enhance your understanding of self-sufficiency research is our compendium of data sets. This compendium is available in 2 formats. We have a print-friendly format, which you can click here on this button to access. My mouse is hovering over it. We also have it in a web-friendly format, as you can see on your screen. The compendium is organized alphabetically, so you can select, you can browse through it by clicking the title, and you'll see that we offer the name of the data set along with a URL to access more information about the data set, a short description of it. We also describe the population and the frequency of data collection. If by any chance you have data that you'd like to share with the public, we always welcome submissions. You can shoot us an email or submit a resource, and we'll add your data set to the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse if it's within the scope of the clearinghouse. So I'll show you how to submit a resource. You can do that by clicking on this button here, or you can go to the Submit a Library Resource page, and you just fill out this form and click Save, and we will receive your material and review it. I should emphasize here that though we are definitely looking for data sets, we are always looking for research of all different sorts. So please submit anything that you have. This year we're especially interested in collecting research that's been produced at the state and local level. So if you have any research that you're willing to share, please do submit it. Okay, now we'll talk about the third way that you can use the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse in your work, and that is to connect with others in the field. We have numerous ways for you to engage with your colleagues. First, you can subscribe to the SSRC. You just click on this button and put in your email address, and you'll be signed up for our newsletter. We circulate our newsletter once a month, and it features recently added research to the clearinghouse as well as upcoming events. We also list events. You can see you probably saw some on the home page. We have some upcoming events. You can also access our full events calendar under the Stay Connected section on the Find Events page. And we post events that are both virtual and in person, and they can be located anywhere in the United States. We also welcome you to submit events if you're hosting an event that's open to the public. If it's relevant to the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse, we will definitely post it here for you. And just to give you an idea, I will click into this one event. This is actually a webinar that the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse is hosting next week. It's an Emerging Scholar webinar, and you see the start time and date as well as the registration information. Another tool that we have available to you to help you connect and learn about your colleagues is a directory of organizations that do work in the self-sufficiency field. So similar to the listing of data sets, this page is organized into 4 categories, and you just click the type of organization that you're looking for and the box expands. So for instance, if you're looking to perhaps partner with a foundation on a program that you want to launch, but you're not sure what type of foundation might be interested in your work, you could come here and click on this foundation box and get this listing of organizations. You'll see that we have the foundation name as well as, and all of the names are hyperlinked, so if you click them, you'll be taken to their website. And we also highlight the audiences that the organization typically works with and the topical areas in which they tend to focus. So for instance, if you're working on that community development and housing project for homeless folks, and you're interested in partnering with a foundation, you might see here that the EOS Foundation does work related to community development and housing, and you might then want to learn more about them. So if you'd like to add your organization, we'd love to have you listed in the directory. You can come here to this page and click on this button and just fill out this short form. And what will happen is we'll receive your request, add you to the directory, and you'll also get a little piece of HTML code that you can choose to put on your website. That code basically is an icon of the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse with our URL embedded in it. So it's a similar concept to like a Facebook or Twitter widget on your homepage, but it's of the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse. We'd love to connect with you and help advertise the great work that you do in the self-sufficiency field by featuring you in the directory, so please do fill out this form if you're interested in joining us. You don't need to add the HTML code to your website to be added to the directory, but we'd love for you to do it. And so another way you can connect with the Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse is by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We are active on those 3 social media platforms. To like, tweet, or join us, you can click on any of these icons at the top of our homepage. I also want to give you a little heads up about some really exciting new features that we're launching on the Clearinghouse in the coming weeks. As I mentioned, we will have the event archive coming soon, and that will be found under the library section. We'll also have a page highlighting some of our partnerships in the Stay Connected section. We are enhancing, as I mentioned, our topical pages, so we'll be highlighting even more research on these pages for you to make browsing for items a bit easier. And finally, we will be launching My SSRC, which will be a way for you to personalize your Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse experience by tailoring your research interests and getting updates on when research is added to the library that is of interest to you. So we'll definitely advertise these features when they are released. Please subscribe to our newsletter to make sure you get the updates. And before I go over some next steps you all can take to stay engaged with the Clearinghouse, I just wanted to please ask everyone to submit any feedback that you have on the website. You can do that either by emailing us, and our contact information is here. We're ssrc@opressrc.org. Or you can contact us directly and we'll provide you with our email addresses. The Self-Sufficiency Research Clearinghouse, as Courtney mentioned, has always been very committed to learning what the field needs and making sure that we tailor the Clearinghouse to the needs of the field. So if you see something or that you think could be improved, please let us know. Similarly, if there's a webinar topic that you'd really be interested in learning more about, please shoot us an email, and we'd love to be able to incorporate your feedback into our work moving forward. Okay. And so now I'm just going to go over a few different ways you can stay engaged with the SSRC and immediately as soon as you leave the webinar today. As I mentioned, please subscribe to the Clearinghouse. Our newsletters go out on a monthly basis. You can also follow us on social media. We typically tweet about upcoming events and post about research recently added to the Clearinghouse. We do have an Emerging Scholar webinar coming up on December 11th on the topic of family structure, Stability and Child Well-Being. This webinar is hosted by our current emerging scholar, Dr. Terry Ann Craigie. We hope you'll join us, and you can register by going to the SSRC homepage, and there's a registration link on the homepage, or you can we'll also have ways to register through our newsletters. And please do submit events to our calendar, as well as resources and even data sets for inclusion in our collection. And we hope you'll join us when we launch My SSRC in the coming months. And now I'd like to open it up to any questions that you all may have.
All right, well, remember you can put questions into the Q&A box that's on that right side panel under where you see all of our names. I haven't seen a whole lot coming in here, but we actually had 1 or 2 questions on our side that we wanted to pose.
Regarding submitting resources to grow the collection, can you kind of talk about what that process is?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the question? I didn't hear the beginning of it.
Sure. Regarding submitting resources to grow the collection, can you kind of talk a little bit about what that process is for, submitting articles or work or data of any kind?
Sure, excellent question. So if you have, 1 or like 2, if you don't have a lot of research items is the point I'm trying to make, you can use the form on the Clearinghouse, and I'll go to that page now. If you happen to have like 50 or 60 different research items that you'd like to include, you can just email us directly. We certainly don't want to make you fill out this form 50 or 60 times. But if you just have 1, you can fill out this form, and when you click Save, a notification will be sent to our team that you've submitted this resource. From there, someone on the SSRC staff will review the resource that you submitted, and we'll review it for relevance, so to make sure that it's related to one of those 12 topics as that topic relates to self-sufficiency. And if it is indeed relevant to our scope, we will then review it for quality. Assuming it's of high quality, which I'm sure it will be, we then assign tags to it, which basically means we say, this research article is about individual development accounts and children. And so we would assign those tags to the research on the library entry to make it easy for folks to find in the Clearinghouse. And that process would be the same if someone submits a data set. And we're open to all type of research, so it doesn't have to be a randomized control trial to be included in the Clearinghouse. It could be a qualitative study, and it could also be a policy brief or a webinar recording or something of that nature.
Thank you. Well, community action is not usually a quiet bunch, but they seem to be today. So if there are any questions that come up later, do feel free to email us here at the partnership, and we will make sure to forward those on. We do have one other question that has come in on, are there any costs involved at all on accessing any of the information?
That's a really great question, and it depends on your individual access. So on our library entries, I'll navigate back to a library entry right now. We provide the link to the public URL for the material. So for example, if you find a journal article that you're interested in, we'll provide the URL to the publisher's page, and if you have access to that publication, then you'll be able to access that journal article. If you don't already have access to that, there may be a cost to get the full text of the article. we have a wide variety of items in the clearinghouse, and so many of the items we have, the full text is publicly available because the reports are government funded or organizations have them available on their website. So it really varies depending on the research item that you're interested in and your personal access. For students who have access to their university's library, they will probably be able to access the majority of the journal articles in our clearinghouse through their personal access. But again, it really depends on your individual access.
All right, thank you. Looks like we do have a couple more questions coming in there. What criteria can you suggest to determine if particular research can be put into practice?
So I'll ask Courtney if she wants to weigh in here, but first a few thoughts from me. I think one of the things to look for is whether, you know, first and foremost, if the research relates to your particular setting. So if you're working in a very rural environment, if you find research that's on a program in New York City, if the program was very similar to what you hope to put into practice in your community, you might want to look for some other research items on a similar program model that's implemented in a community more similar to yours, because there might be a lot of differences that you might want to consider, some modifications you might want to make to the program model depending on your location and the community in which you're implementing it. Some other criteria to look at is just transparency in how the researchers kind of describe their methodology. And if you keep on looking at it and it doesn't make sense, you could definitely contact the researcher if they make their contact information available. But if not, you might want to see how their research findings compare to others in the field. Courtney, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I'm not showing that Courtney is still attached to the phone, so she may have been kicked off, or she may have called back in and we are not able to actually identify which line is hers. So with that, I guess that should handle most of the questions that we saw. Are there any last-minute thoughts either from here on the partnership side or the SSRC side?
This is Denise with the partnership. I just want to, again, say thank you to SSRC and folks on the phone being with us today. We are really curious about, are there trainings that you would find valuable, taking the data that you've seen here and the resources that are available, how we could better convey that information out to the network? Are there ways for us to use this information in a training format or in a training topic that you might find of interest? So please feel free to send that to us in an email or follow up with us with a phone call as well. That would be great. We have a question that just came in as well. We're hosting a Plan for Planners session. Sounds like a good idea, in preparation for the development of a 3-year community action plan. Do you see this as a good resource for us to share? As Denise from the partnership, I would say this probably would be a good resource to share, and I think there were definitely some good linkages there. And some of those webinars, I think, contained a lot of good content about how to integrate the research into practice. Ellen, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this would be an excellent resource to share. And if you'd like some ideas on specific products that we have available on the website that you might even want to provide as printouts to your conference attendees, feel free to contact me or Courtney, and we can help point you in the right direction. I'll also add that we do have many products underway, so we hope to be able to share more of those with you in the future, and they will be made available on the Clearinghouse website.
All right, then. The next question that came in is how do we contact you, but I think we might have moved into that directly there. Again, if there are any questions that were to come up later, do send those over to us here at the partnership, and we will answer or get them up to the appropriate people to answer. There will be an evaluation that should pop up after we close today's event, so your participation in that is greatly appreciated. And again, this was recorded, and the presentation will also be available at cscgpta.org. With that, any closing thoughts, Ellen or Courtney, if you're back on the line?
This is Ellen. I just wanted to, again, echo our thanks for all of you taking the time out of your very busy days to learn about the Clearinghouse. We're really excited to be here presenting this to you, and we do hope that it's helpful for you in your work. And again, please let us know how we can make it more useful for you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, folks.